Okay. Hello, whoever's out there. We're just going to wait a minute to see if others join. Hello, everyone out there. I hope that everyone's doing well. I have a bit of a sore throat, so I sound a little bit different. We'll just wait a minute or two to let others jump online. Hello, Bhante, Sumita. Hello, Kumu. Hello, Upasika, Matika. And hello, Manal. We're just waiting a minute or so for friends to join us. Hello, Bill. Hello, Jayanta. So we'll begin in just a moment. Hello, Karen. Hello, Libby. Hello, Sus. Okay. Hello. Welcome all. Hope that you're doing well wherever you may be. I'm glad to be back here again. I believe this is my final one in this series. Filling in while Bhante and Aya and the other monks are in Italy. Hello, Christina. So today, I would just like for you to practice whatever meditation you would like to practice. So whatever you like, if you like body scan, breath focus, counting, uh, loving kindness, if you want to do more of a reflection, like death and the body parts and things like that, or recollection of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, whatever you like, go ahead and just practice whichever meditation you like, and we'll all practice together, supporting each other in our favorite practice today. So let's go ahead and we'll meditate for about 20, maybe 25 minutes on whatever you want to meditate on. So let's go ahead, pick your favorite practice or whichever one you feel that you're inclined towards today and practice that. Let's go ahead and begin. So now that your mind is calm, body is relaxed, you can bless yourself with your calm mind by the great wisdom and compassion of the Supreme Buddha, truthfulness of his teachings Dhamma, noble qualities of his perfect disciples Mahasangha. May you be well, happy, comfortable, and peaceful. Sabitiyo vivanjantu saberogo vinasatu mate bhavantwanterayo Sukhi Digayuko Bhava Bhavetu Sabbe Mangelan Rakantu Sabbe Devata Sabbe Bhutanubhavene Sabbe Dhammanubhavene Sabbe Sanghanubhavene Sada Soti Bhavantu Ti. Also, through the power of this meritorious action, may you be free from immature company, and may you always have good companions until you attain Nibbana. Imina punya kamene mame bala samagamo satam samagemo hotu yaveni banapatiya. I hope that your meditation went well. See how it is when we have the chance to choose what to meditate on or how to meditate. It can be very different than when something is expected or when not only is like some sort of type of meditation expected to be given, but maybe expecting some instructions or to try something new. It's very different when we sit by ourselves or go on a retreat or join on an online event like this, or when we do a guided meditation, or if we sit with just a few friends, or if we sit with our teacher, right? If we're sitting at a more kind of like secular place, or if we're sitting inside of a monastery, it can be a little bit different. So maybe you just want to pay a little bit of attention to the mood. It's often not talked about, the mood, the vibes, the ambiance, whatever, the aesthetics, or whatever we want to call it. It does play a role. Many people, when they come here to our meditations on Friday nights, they say that they've tried meditating before on their own and it's very difficult, but when they come here, all of a sudden they find it a little bit easier, or it seems like they can just kind of go with the flow, go with the group. And there's a couple factors playing there. One is that it's done in a group, another that it's done in a meditation place, another that there's monks there and there's a Buddha image. There might be some sort of expectation, right, for them that also helps them maybe tap into the meditation a little bit more. So those are some things that you want to consider before sitting, during sitting, and after sitting meditation. Sometimes just knowing how our environment and the people around us have an impact for the benefit or detriment of our meditation. It's very important. Well, that's not my talk today. My talk is about something else. But first, I'm going to pay respects to the Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. I'm sorry if you can't hear me. I can't shout today. I have a bit of a sore throat, I said earlier, but many of you, more than half of you are joining us after I said that. So it's no problem with your audio. It's just me. It's my voice. I've got a bit of a sore throat. So I want to focus on this theme of what we expect from meditation, or how we view how meditation is supposed to feel like, or what is supposed to be felt during meditation. And I'll start off by speaking for myself, coming from a military, security, martial arts, inner city, all these places where, toughness is expected to a certain degree, to different degrees in each one of these places. When I came into the Dhamma, even before that, even when I just started meditating, even before that, when I was just doing yoga, I always had this mentality of, being tough and pushing through, and that, I kind of correlated a lot with like working out, physical exercise, or, there was times where I had 2 or 3 jobs at a time, and going from one job to another, or working and going to school, and just kind of pushing through. And, there was some idea that I had that in order for something to be worthwhile, it needs to be difficult, strenuous, painful, not enjoyable. I think that was the main thing, that it can't really be enjoyed, at least not during it. Maybe after you're done, then maybe you can brag about how how painful it was. And I also noticed that in the first retreats that I went to, and some of the people that I spoke to when they went on retreats, they would boast about, how much pain they went through, or how they didn't move and had to stay still and fight against themselves. And they wore it as a badge of honor that they had to go through all that pain. And I did this too. In the first retreat that I went to, I remember coming out of this 7-day retreat and telling people, you should go, you should go. And they said, well, what happened? I said, well, I was in pain the whole time, but I learned to overcome it. And, kind of focusing more on how I was able to overcome that pain, and how kind of that was a great thing. And other friends who went on other 7-10 day uh, meditation retreats where they mostly make you sit for most of the time. I'm pretty sure you guys know what kind of retreats those are, and people seem to boast about you know all the pain they went through. And then I remember listening to some talks of some people, both lay and monastic, um, and their experiences practicing meditation, and how they kind of perpetuated this idea of, like, it shouldn't be pleasant. And they would share that when they felt something pleasant, that they shouldn't be attached to it, or they shouldn't cling to it, or that's nothing important, and kind of dismissive, and just kind of maintain this kind of third person, right? What do they say? Non-judgmental kind of perspective on all these experiences that are arising. Then after some time, my meditation started becoming very pleasant, and then I missed those times of struggle. I missed those times of pain, and fighting my mind to be calm, and fighting my body to be comfortable. Now my mind was naturally calm, and my body was naturally comfortable. But that struggle, I missed the struggle. I missed the battle. I missed the fight. And then when I would read some of these mostly older books of people who went to meditate in Asia, like in the 60s, 70s, even 80s, and how they would talk about their struggles and fighting, and I would say, yes, yes, you see, that's what I need. Maybe I just need to make my meditation more difficult, or go somewhere to make things more uncomfortable for myself. And then I'll be doing real meditation if I'm out in the forest, in the mountain, or somewhere with no cushions, where the meditation center doesn't have any cushions, and you just sit on wood. Then I can do real meditation again. But I fell into this trap that our Sammasambuddha, when he was a bodhisattva himself, realized. In the beginning, Prince Siddhartha, the bodhisattva, lived a life of luxury with so much pleasant things and so beautiful people around them. Um, his auntie, who became his mother, and his father, and all his cousins, they really loved him. Everyone loved him and treated him so nice, and he had all the beautiful things, and he experienced pleasure, but he couldn't find any end to suffering there. So he thought, pleasantness or happiness or pleasurable things is not the way to end suffering. So then he went on this, he renounced all of that. And then he found some other pleasant states with his teacher, Alara Kalama, and Udaka Ramaputta. And these also, no, you know, they weren't what it was supposed to be. And so then he tried, then I should deny myself all pleasure and pleasant things, and practice austerities. And that's when he joined his 5 friends. And that was a very popular practice in that time, since um, there was that new religious movement of Jainism. Then Mahavira started, and that was very much based on ascetic practices. So that was kind of like the new thing to do. And he tried that. And we hear all these stories, right? That the Buddha, the Bodhisattva could see his spine through his stomach and eating one, piece of rice at a time and not drinking any water and trying to hold his breath. But then he realized he didn't find any liberation through that. But then he realized something very important, that there's different kinds of pleasure and pain. There's pleasure and pain that are blameful, that are sensual, that lead towards suffering. And there's blameless, um, blameless pleasure and blameless pain also. And here I'd like to share with you a piece of the Maha Satchaka Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya number 36, where the Buddha recalls when he was a bodhisattva. I recall that when my father, the Sakyan, was occupied, while I was sitting in the cool shade of a rose apple tree, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, I entered upon and abided in the first jhana, which is accompanied by applied and sustained thought, with rapture and pleasure born of seclusion. Could that be the path to awakening? Then, following on that memory, came the realization that is indeed the path to awakening. I thought, why am I afraid of that pleasure that has nothing to do with sensual pleasures and unwholesome states? I thought, I am not afraid of that pleasure, since it has nothing to do with sensual pleasures and unwholesome states. So here, the Buddha is recalling when he was just a child, when his nannies were supposed to be taking care of him, but instead got distracted by the plow festival, and everyone there was watching his father. He was also part of the plow festival. The race got really exciting, and no one was paying attention to little baby Prince Siddhartha, the little child. He wasn't a baby, actually. He was already a child. And he went into this jhana, and then after practicing his asceticisms, he remembered that day. And that's why he gave up asceticism and sat under the Bodhi tree and tried a new way of practicing, one that didn't depend on self-mortification, on running away from pleasant, comfortable, joyful, happy states. The important thing is, what are the causes and conditions that lead to those pleasant, comfortable, joyful states? There are those that are blameworthy and blameless, sensual and non-sensual. That's the important thing to remember. Then I want to share with you just another quote from another sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya 139, Aranavibhanga Sutta, where the Buddha gives emphasis again to this idea. Know how to assess different kinds of pleasures. Knowing this pleasure, inner bliss, that's what I said. But why did I say it? There are 5 kinds of sensual stimulation. What 5? Sights known by the eye that are likable, desirable, agreeable, pleasant, sensual, and arousing. Sounds known by the ear, smells known by the nose, tastes known by the tongue, touches known by the body that are likable, disagreeable, agreeable, pleasant, sensual, and arousing. There are 5 kinds of sensual stimulations. The pleasure and happiness that arises from these kinds of sensual stimulations is called sensual pleasure. A filthy, common, ignoble pleasure. Such pleasure should not be cultivated or developed, but should be feared. I say, now take a mendicant who, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unskillful qualities, enters and remains in the first jhana, which has rapture and bliss born of seclusion, while placing the mind and keeping it connected. As the placing of the mind and keeping it connected are stilled, they enter and remain in the second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. This is called the pleasure of renunciation, the pleasure of seclusion, the pleasure of peace, the pleasure of awakening. Such pleasure should be cultivated and developed. It should not be feared. I say, know how to assess different kinds of pleasures. Knowing this, pursue inner bliss. That's what I said, and this is why I said it. Here again, just emphasizing the difference between sensual and non-sensual pleasures. And that on the path of our in the path to awakening, when we're practicing meditation, there are so many pleasant, comfortable, happy states that should be cultivated. We have piti, we have pasadi, we have samatha, we have samadhi, we have sukha, we have somanasa. So many beautiful, pleasant states. We don't have to fear them. I think that's a very, very important message. My teacher, my late teacher, Dr. Bhante Mahatera, would always focus on practicing, especially because we were just starting at that time, tapping into that pasadi and piti and how it was so important, and that we were not trying to do some sort of ascetic practice. And then when these wholesome, pleasant states arise, that we should take them in. There's nothing wrong with it. I know sometimes we're like, well, don't attach, don't cling. Yes, yes, yes. That's true. But on the way to awakening, there are these very helpful, supportive states that will help us in our meditation practice. Our meditation practice doesn't have to be something unpleasant. It inherently doesn't have to be unpleasant. It doesn't have to be difficult. Another influential teacher who talks about a similar thing is Bhante Vimalam Ramsey Mahatera also. Puts a lot of focus, on smile, be happy. I really love that. Usually When we see pictures of monks, especially meditative Theravada monks, the pictures are like this. Very stoic pictures. It doesn't seem like it's a good sale. Like, be happy. Nirvana is the highest happiness. But then when we see pictures of the Buddha always has a little smile, right? The Buddha looks joyful and serene, but a lot of us who are meditators sometimes put don't put out that joyfulness and serenity and warmth. We have this very stoic look, and that might be an indication that our practice has maybe gone in the wrong direction. And we also don't want to go into the other direction where we're just chasing only pleasant states and think that we need to be euphoric all the time and have this kind of like unrealistic positivity. That's also another extreme. But just be aware. Be aware that there's so many wholesome states, pleasant states, pleasurable states. Even euphoric states like in jhana. And don't deny yourself that. Don't make your path towards awakening an unnecessary struggle, a penance. The Dhamma is beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, and beautiful in the end. Okay. Any questions or comments? Go ahead and put them in the chat. Now is the time. De nada anagarika sarana. So we're just waiting for any questions or comments. I know it usually takes a little bit to type them in and make sure that everything's correct. Oh, no questions, no comments. Okay. Bhante, Samanera Metiko says, Bhante, what are your thoughts on practicing mudita to bring joy when there are or is disconnect in the practice? Mudita is such a powerful factor, and it's available to us, especially for the lay people, every time they practice dana, every time they practice giving. But as monks, we can also be kind to others and help others, and by doing that, we can rejoice in the happiness that comes to others. It's not our happiness, right? Not the happiness of us doing good things, which is also a great thing, but the happiness of the other person. We can be happy about that. We can rejoice in that. We can take that in. So when I practice the Brahma Viharas, I don't, necessarily like break them down into like, well, now I'm going to practice metta, and then after metta, I'll practice karuna, and after karuna, I'll practice mudita, and after mudita, I'll practice upekkha. Because usually, in my experience, in any wholesome action, they're all present to different degrees. Maybe one is more dominant, but they're all present, because I find it very difficult to envision the appreciation of mudita or upeka or karuna without metta. It's like if you don't have metta, I don't see how there can be karuna or mudita or upeka. So my teacher Bhante Puniji would always say that, that karuna, mudita, and upeka are just a deepening, right? A more profound level of metta. And I say this because maybe you can't directly tap into mudita, like in a formal practice or in your daily life. But that shouldn't be discouraging, because even within metta and karuna and upeka, there's a level of mudita there. And you just need to be able to see it, right? Like the example I gave of dana. When you practice dana, there has to be some level of metta in your mind. If not, you wouldn't practice dana. There has to be some level of karuna there. There has to be some level of mudita there also, and upeka. So when someone gives dana, especially a devout Buddhist gives to the sangha, these three wholesome mental factors, these Brahma Viharas, are present. So actually, to be very honest, my main way of practicing Brahma Viharas has always been in my daily life. My formal practice of metta, Brahma Viharas sitting is maybe every other day. But I try to, from the moment that I wake up to when I go to sleep, I try to make, every thought, every word, and every action come from a place of the Brahma Viharas. And that's been the way that it's been easier for me to cultivate, because I wasn't, when I first started practicing the Brahma Viharas, it seemed like a sentimental, kind of fluffy practice, not real meditation. It was hard for me to bring up that feeling of concern and love and all of that. That just wasn't my natural thing to do. So I had to find another way. I had to find another way to touch loving kindness and compassion. And I found it by, in my words, the way I speak to people, the way I spoke to people, treating them nicely, saying hello, making eye contact, listening, deep listening, helping people. And when I did those things, I could touch it. I could feel that metta, karuna, mudita. And in those moments, I can generate it and cultivate it in that moment, instead of, trying to bring it out of nowhere in meditation. But thanks to that practicing in everyday life, I was able then to bring it over into my meditation. So I had to bring it in from my daily life into my meditation, instead of from my meditation into my daily life. But I see you have some more following up things. Oh, it says, I'm Matt. Often in the course, so this is Matt. Often in the course of meditation, the mind is overwhelmed with afflictive states of mind, distractions, clutter, discontent. Yes, yes, yes. Basically, I either remedy or suppress these states of mind. Sometimes requires a bit of forcefulness and sustained effort. How to keep light and not burdensome? Well, one thing is, you can let go of any expectations. Don't have any expectations when you sit down. Every time I sit down, it's different. It's never the same. And every time I've wanted it to be the way it was before, or like how it was in a previous retreat, on this new retreat that I'm going, it never happens. It's different. And because it's different, it brings dissatisfaction, it brings dukkha. So we have to let go of any expectations we have of the practice and any expectations of ourselves. What kind of Buddhist I am, what kind of meditator I am. Let go of any of these expectations. Because as soon as you have an expectation that meditation is supposed to be X, whatever you think meditation is supposed to be like, and you don't get X, you're going to be frustrated and you're going to try to do something so the meditation becomes as you want it instead of as it is. So that's the main thing we have to get over: expectations of others, of the world, of ourselves. It's just like this. So there's a couple other things you can do also. If you notice that you're doing a breathing meditation and it's not working to overcome whatever is bothering you, then change to another kind of meditation. Maybe a body scan, maybe change to loving kindness, maybe do walking meditation. Maybe just get up and go study instead, go read some suttas, or maybe you can do some chanting. Maybe if you're an empty cloud, then you have to follow the schedule, but whatever you're doing there. But within those parameters of whatever the schedule is, then try to be creative. I remember Bhante Sudaso put so much emphasis on this. If something isn't working, then stop doing it. you know, do something else. I love that. He said that he knew people who would meditate for so many years doing a certain type of meditation, and they wouldn't progress. And his statement would be like, "Then why are you doing it? Do something else if it's not working. Why do you keep wasting your time?" So also you can try that. Yeah, and keeping light of it is realizing that you're not perfect and you're not an arahant. Maybe you're not even a stream enter, you know? And if you're not a monastic, then also no, you're not a monastic. You're not expected to practice to the degree that a monastic practices. So let go of all of those expectations. Hope that helps. Bill, when I meditate, I tap into a level of tiredness. Does that go away? Change positions, meditate differently. If you meditate, with your legs crossed, and try meditate kneeling, try to, not use a cushion then, or change positions. If you meditate with your eyes closed, leave them open. Sometimes it's just that it's just become a habit. And the position that we're in is just too comfortable. It's too familiar. So we need to do something to change that up a bit. So there was a woman who used to come here, and every time she would sit in perfect lotus and fall asleep. And then I said, well, practice, sitting differently. And she said, how? And I said, well, kneel. And she tried it and she says, well, it's not as comfortable. I said, well, did you fall asleep? She said, no. Okay. She wanted both, and both can come later. But in the beginning, you need to be a little creative. You need to experiment. I think that worked, Bill. Give it a little thumbs up. Hopefully that works out for you. Yeah, I meditate sometimes with my eyes open, closed, sometimes easy pose, sometimes half pose, sometimes kneeling on, If I notice that something's not working well, then I just change my position. Sometimes I do facing the wall, sometimes not facing the wall. Because every moment I'm different. Every day is different. The state of the mind is always changing. And as we get older, Something that worked for us in the past may not work for us anymore, and that's okay. Just time to do something else. Well, friends in Dhamma, this is my last stream in the near future. Just wanted to thank everyone at Empty Cloud, everyone online. I think this is my fourth one. I did 4 of these streams with all of y'all. I know there's some people here who speak Spanish, so I just wanted to let them know that we're going to be having a retreat in in Spain, as in we, like Casa de Bhavana, Bhante Sanathavihari, separate from Buddhist Insights and Empty Cloud. I'll be doing a retreat in Las Islas Canarias, Canary Islands in Spain in February. I believe it's like the 9th to the 13th or 14th, something like that. If you're in Europe, it's going to be in Spanish medium. Si estás en Europa durante ese tiempo, nos puedes acompañar en febrero. You can get more information by sending me a message anywhere you find me, or you can send me an email to casadebhavana@gmail.com, casadebhavana@gmail.com. If you'd like to join and practice Dhamma en Español, that's available to you. And I know later in the year, next year, I'll have one in Mahavihara, because I saw it here. Someone said it, Mahavihara in Veracruz, Mexico. If you'd like to stay in touch with me, you can reach out to me at casadebhavana.com and Casa de Bhavana Facebook and Monje en la Modernidad YouTube channel. But that's it for tonight. Until next time, may you be well, happy, comfortable, and peaceful. Sukhi Hotu, wish you all the best.